Welcome back, Freddy in the Shed. Now at the weekend, Amazon sent me a link and said that we're doing these Trust Wireless Keyboards with touchpads for about half price on Amazon Prime. So I thought, I might buy one in. I did double check the price, of course, on eBay, and they generally sell for around about £25 to £30 UK. Over the years, I've had quite a few Trust products for the computer. Always found them to be sort of quite good quality. So the keyboard turned up next day on Amazon Prime. Comes with one of these little USB Bluetooth dongles. You don't really want to lose this. It is sort of quite small, but the idea is this sort of plugs into the back of your computer. It downloads all its own drivers. There's no driver disk involved. It just does it all automatically. Now, normally this would only take about a minute to find these drivers. This took about 6 minutes. I sat there for ages waiting for this USB to find the drivers. It did eventually sort of find them, but more about that in a minute. Also included in the pack are these horrible dog cheap sort of one hung low chinky batteries. I'm going to throw these straight away and use Duracell, so they look like they're going to leak. Instruction wise, well, you get a little booklet. It just says plug in the USB and sit back and sort of follow the on-screen instructions. And you might as well make a cup of tea for the length of time that sort of took. Okay, the keyboard itself, it's sort of, quite light. The sort of keys, they're not really sort of tactile like proper keyboard keys. They're sort of quite slim, but they are quite usable. I'm just going to bring in a standard keyboard here just to give you an idea of the sort of size. So it's about sort of 3/4 size, but of course it does include that trackpad. But the keys themselves, they're okay. You're not going to sort of speed touch type on this, but they're okay sort of to use as on your computer and maybe things like your Xbox or maybe your smart TV, because the keyboard is compatible with games consoles and smart TV. The pad itself seems to okay. I don't know if it actually incorporates sort of pinch and zoom, but it's rather a nice sort of large size. Now, sort of turning the keyboard over, I don't know what you feel about this blue. I actually don't like it. I think it looks a bit like my sort of Tomy, my first keyboard. It looks a bit like a sort of child's toy. The on-off switch for the power is on the back. Why do they do that? I think I prefer it on the front. You're more likely to forget about it because it's on the back. There's no LED to tell you that you've left it switched on. Your batteries sort of go into this compartment here. And there's a little space here. This is where you're supposed to put that USB kind of dongle if you're going to use this sort of keyboard on the move. But I mean, really, are you really going to remember to put it in there? And then do you want to keep taking this flap on and off to sort of take it out? It does feel quite flimsy. Are you going to break it? I mean, much better if they just sort of incorporate a little slot in the side or the sort of top here where you could just sort of slide it in, and that way you're less likely to lose it. While I'm at it, I'm also not in love with the printing on the keys themselves. Instead of using a pad printer, they seem to have used a kind of transfer system. So you get this sort of shiny kind of halo around the printing on the keys. It doesn't look too bad at some lights, but as you can sort of see, if you get it at a slight angle, it's quite difficult to sort of read what the keys are supposed to do. Remember that I said that this keyboard is for use on a games console or smart TV, but when you look at the box, you find that the trackpad part isn't compatible with either. And that's a bit of a sort of a downer. If you had a smart TV and you wanted to replace your remote control with this keyboard, well, it's going to be the cursor control that you're probably going to use the most. And certainly on a £30 keyboard, I kind of find that a bit of a con. And the only saving grace is when it comes down to the media keys. Well, as you can see, you're not exactly missing out on much, are you? And it's that price point where this keyboard sort of falls down. It doesn't feel substantially better quality than something you could buy, say, from China for sort of £10 or £12. In fact, it does feel like a rebranded sort of cheap China product. And then it comes down to using it. Now, I had all sorts of problems with that little USB Bluetooth adapter when I first installed it after waiting the 6 minutes. Yeah, it did work. Everything worked. The trackpad felt sort of quite nice and it was perfectly usable. But when I restarted the machine, it completely forgot all of the settings and I had to reinstall it all over again. And I did that 3 times and then I kind of sort of gave up. I'm going to go back and revisit that. But if it keeps doing that, I'm afraid this is going to get sent back. So to bring this one to a conclusion, I'm not all that impressed. I expected more from Trust. Certainly at a keyboard that is a premium of nearly £30, I expected a much better product. This one sort of feels very much like a cheap low-end product. At £10, yeah, maybe it's okay. I'm not keen on the light blue sort of back of the keyboard. It looks a little bit like a child's toy. That on-off switch doesn't feel particularly nice to use, and I think it should be on the front. Also, the keys themselves, okay to sort of press, but this kind of transfer lettering business is a little bit difficult to see in some lights. So Trust, I think you've dropped a clanger here. I think you've rebranded a cheaper Chinese product and just trying to sell it under your own name. So this one gets a Fred in the Shed thumbs down. It just doesn't seem to be worth the money and the hassle to me. Okay, that's about it for this video. A bit negative, unfortunately. Subscribe to see more Fred in the Shed videos. I'm doing more gadget stuff in the future, and hit that bell notification so you know when I'm putting a video up. But as for now, as always, I'd like to say cheers. Thanks for your view time. Stay safe, and of course, I'll catch you all on the next one.